Okay, so after this, I'm gonna try to add the actual intro to this. So I guess thank you, Jesse, for that wonderful introduction. That's completely inaccurate.
Yeah.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Allies with the Unbreakable Spirit.
And the Executioner de Travos.
And today we are talking pop culture and more specifically what we would do if we were in charge of a DC universe.
And to clarify which one, we're talking about movies. Live action movies. To clarify.
Yeah.
Just so people know, we're talking about how we would handle the James Gunn universe if we were in charge. Basically, is what we're saying.
Yes. Do you want to start off?
Sure, I guess. Okay. Just so people know, this is all off the cuff. Okay, the first, now, but now, what I would do is, alright, first I would start off with the Superman movie. Obviously,
Mm-hmm.
get that done. I call it Superman, the Last Son of Krypton. Something,
Mm.
but now, who I would cast as, I'm not gonna say the new Superman because I haven't seen shit from that yet.
So title. So main character subject to change if you like the Superman movie in 2025.
Yeah, I'm gonna. But for now, I'm gonna go with Tyler Hoechlin because he's like
Okay.
because one of the best live action Supermans. The main villain of the plot would be a a Superman that has just arrived in Metropolis and is still trying to figure out how to balance between Clark Kent and Superman. And the villain of I would have Lex Luthor be in the movie, but the main villain I would give it to like Brainiac, which would give Lex a more reason to hate Superman down the road.
Yeah, I will admit I like how you're staying on brand and not and getting all the Snyder fanboys mad at you for not doing Henry Cavill.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I will say, for Lex Luthor, mm, there's some solid choice. There's some solid choices. Like I said, haven't seen the new Lex, but honestly, I go with John Cryer
Okay.
because we never really saw those two interact in any in the air in on his Earth or whatever. But yeah,
Yeah. But it
uh,
turns out John Cryer isn't even the Superman and Lois or the Lex
Lex
Luthor.
Luthor, yeah, that's Michael Cuss. But anyway, I would have an early years Superman. Then the next movie would be a Batman movie. Obviously, I give the Trinity each their own movie.
Yeah. And
I
that's
give,
something that I think I'll actually also do in my universe when we get to what I would do. I
yeah,
was thinking about this before I went to bed last night, but
yeah,
did not write
and
anything down. Really need to get back on that. It worked
yeah.
well
Anyway,
in another episode.
yeah. Anyway, yeah, I do a Batman movie. Honestly, just because I wouldn't say like I'm not gonna do like Kevin Porter. I honestly give that shit to Jason Ackles.
You mean
Just see
Jensen?
Jason, yeah. I give that to him. See what he would do because we've seen him he could do an animation. Uh, the first year would be I just call it Batman Year One, and the only time you would see his parents die would be like you see them walk down an alleyway, and then you'd see them get shot, and then it would be like a montage of him training. That's it. I just start the movie with that to get it over with.
Yeah, or you don't even have to actually show them being shot. You can just have them walking out in an alleyway, and then there are two flashes with the gunshot sound effect.
That yeah. Anyway, so I do that. I do one super, which FYI for those people that don't know, it would be based off of take Mask of the Phantasm, take Year One, and take Zero Year. Mix that all together. That would be the first one. I do a Wonder Woman movie, and I have Cheetah be the villain. I do
Okay.
Aquaman. I do Aquaman. Probably would do Manta because their history is kind of fucked up. Let's see. I give my founding members. I'm just gonna say my founding members of the Justice League would be obviously the big three.
Yeah.
Um, I would do the Flash. Um, Martian Manhunter, Green Lantern, and Aquaman. That'd be mine. And I each give them their own
Origin movie.
origin movies with their respective villains. For Batman's sequel, be The Long Halloween. Because, basically it'd be from the
Long
early.
Halloween, directed by Zack Snyder, rated R.
I could totally see that. But, or Matt Reeves, honestly.
Oh, Matt Reeves might be better, but still, either way, rated R.
Yeah, I do that, and then the third movie would be maybe like a Dark Victory-ish sort of thing. Introduce Robin. I do a couple, I'd each give the Justice League like one, maybe two solo movies. Before the third one, I would do a Justice League movie. I'm just gonna let's say the villain, Darkseid. Just get that shit over with.
Obviously.
Yeah, I do Darkseid. I go back, I'd have Lex Luthor be a villain for 2. I go with Zod be the villain for Superman 3. I don't know. Hell, I would even give Metallo or something,
A chance.
a chance. Not just Zod or Lex, that sort of thing. And let's see, after a couple years of doing I don't know, I call it like Superman. I would do those sort of things. Then, I would introduce Green Arrow. I would have probably Stephen Amell. Maybe like, I don't know. Eventually, I'd introduce all the sidekicks.
Yeah.
Eventually lead to a Teen Titans movie. I'd honestly probably do a Force to build up to Judas Contract. I'd probably do 4 movies. 1, Teen Titans 2 would be something. 3 would be the Lazarus Contract. 4, obviously, Judas Contract.
Yep.
Then I give Nightwing solo movie. Honestly, I would recast Nightwing and give that shit to Brandon Dwight. Because I honestly think he did
Brinton was good in Titans, so
yeah.
maybe he'll be able to be a little more lighthearted.
Yeah, I do like a mix of both.
Yeah.
Just so people know, so people in Bloodhaven are like, oh no, he's Nightwing. We're like, oh shit. Anyway, after I do a couple of Nightwing movies, I give Jason maybe like 1 or 2 Batman movies. Then Death of Family, kill him off. I do maybe like a year or 2 later. Tim shows up. Tim gives Batman whatever reason he comes up, whatever reason you decide. Like maybe because you think Batman's too brutal. Then I would give Nightfall its own movie because I'm genuinely surprised that that hasn't been done.
I would do like a Nightfall trilogy,
Yeah,
like one called Nightfall, one called
yeah,
Night City, one called Night.
yeah. You can save that for when you do yours.
Sorry, I was just giving you a suggestion.
Yeah. I would probably do that too, and then I'd probably also give Hush its own movie, not the animated movie version, more of the comic book version. To
So
clarify,
one that's more accurate.
yeah. Um, I do like a bunch of adventures with Tim. I do Under the Red Hood, which would be rated R, 100%.
I mean, yeah.
Then I do a No Man's Land. Uh, then I'd probably do a couple Justice League movies. I do like maybe a Justice League Dark, a Justice League versus Legion of Doom movie, a Justice League versus I'd have the Justice League go up against different sort of villains in the universe. By the time, and then I have Tim B. Robin for a Tim B. Robin for a certain amount of like 10 years or 11, and then I would do Tim, and then I introduce Damien, and then I do Final Crisis, immediately followed by Final Crisis, immediately followed by Battle for the Cowl. Do a couple movies, then I do a Batman's Inc. movie, and to end the universe off, some sort of goddamn. I probably I will say I probably would start off the movie with like a Flashpoint movie or something maybe, and then to end the movie, I'd have a really really big threat like shit. I'd either create a villain, or I'd probably have like some sort of shit that was done like Apocalypse War.
Yeah.
That's what that's what I would do. I didn't really have like a certain timeline, but you get the idea.
Yeah, I get the idea.
All right, floor is yours.
Alright, so I would start off my first phase, I'm gonna say, is gonna start off with Trinity Origins, Superman, The Last Son. And it'll just be the traditional Superman Origins movie. Maybe the villain's like General Zod or something, or Ultra Humanite, something like that. I don't know. Number two, again, Trinity Origins, Batman. Simple, it's just year zero into year one, 0 year, whatever you want to call it. And to to round off Trinity Origins, Wonder Woman, fish out of water, because that's what she is when she enters man's world.
That's fair.
Then the final movie that I would do for my first phase is just called The Trinity. It's where Batman, Superman, and Wonder Woman go together to fight, I don't know, Vandal Savage?
That's a good
And,
choice.
yeah, and then in phase two, I wouldn't start it off with one of the big three. I would start it off with Justice League Origins, Green Lantern, Beware My Power. And it would be Hal Jordan's origin, because my Justice League members are going to be, like Travis, the big three,
Obviously.
Green Lantern Hal Jordan, Flash Barry Allen, Aquaman, Martian Manhunter, and that's probably it. So just the big seven. Unite the seven, whatever you want to say, all that jazz. And the second phase would pretty much be Justice League origin movies for the other characters, except for the final three. I would have Superman 2, Lobo would be the villain, or maybe we introduce Supergirl, I don't know. Then I'd have Batman 2 Underground, and maybe he's going undercover to take down a crime family or something, or maybe Court of Owls, who knows? Wonder Woman 2, I would have the villain be Cersei and get into some of her more mystical Greek mythological villains. And then I would have the Justice League form and the villain be, again, like Travis, Darkseid. Because, like, these days, what else would form the Justice League? Who else would be a big enough villain?
Yeah.
Definitely not. Well, if he got decapitated in the movie everyone wanted to see.
Yeah.
In phase two, the final scene would be the Hall of Justice being constructed in wherever it is in the comics. I don't know. Then we go on to stage three. I'd start really introducing the sidekicks here. Except for Batman. Batman would his movie would be a rated R Long Halloween, and it would end with the start of Dark Victory, more specifically the chapter where Dick Grayson gets introduced.
Yeah.
And the only reason, and Green Arrow, he would already have Speedy by this point. I only say that, and yes, this is a departure from the comics, but it's also not because Green Arrow debuted with Speedy.
Which is weird.
Yeah, and it would be Roy Harper for those who are
Live
thinking,
under a
is it
rock.
going to be Roy Harper or is it going to be Mia Dearden? It's going to be Roy.
Yes.
And and Superman's still going to be solo for this until a Kryptonian escape pod crash lands in the middle of Kansas. Wonder who could be in that. We'll save the reveal for that for the next movie. And Wonder Woman, she's probably having a cheetah problem or something. Definitely not the whatever that was in Wonder Woman 1984. Aquaman, I would have his movie be called Aquaman 2 Battle for the Throne. It would essentially be Throne of Atlantis. Green Lantern, I'd call that Green Lantern Parallax, and that's kind of
Well,
obvious who the big bad would be.
no.
Flash would be called, this is gonna sound stupid, but Flash Time Warp. And he'd be dealing with Reverse Flash and the repercussions of messing with the timeline more than he does his own wife.
Eh.
I don't know if Martian Manhunter would get a sequel because I'm not very familiar with the character. So he may be one restricted to Justice League movies. And at the end of each of these movies, which means Superman 2 would have two after credit scenes, maybe one post, one after. Lex Luthor is approaching a different one of their arch enemies and saying, I have a proposition for you. We are two of a kind. How would you like to have a business relationship? The Justice League movie for Phase 3 I think that's the one I'm on, would be Justice League versus the Legion of Doom. No need to say who the big bad is for that one. Phase 4 is where we would get Batman Dark Victory in its full, and we would even have the after credit scene from Bruce at the circus, and it would have Dick Grayson suit up as Robin and get justice for his parents.
For one question, who would you have as Batman?
As Batman, since it's still relatively young, and apparently the sequel to his movie is gonna have a Robin, Robert Pattinson.
Yeah, just tweak up the Bruce Wayne and you're good.
Yeah, make Bruce actually like Bruce. Have him like slick back the hair. Actually have him work out this time. We know he didn't during COVID.
Yeah, also, who would
And
you cast as Superman?
Superman, that is open for debate currently.
Fair enough. Continue.
Wonder Woman, I'd actually probably have Connor Leslie be Wonder Woman. Might be an interesting choice. She was good as Donna Troy, so why not? Anyways, except for Green Arrow, in each of these movies, the Justice League will be getting their sidekicks. The person in the pod at the end of Superman 2 was Supergirl. Superman 3 can be called Not the Last Kryptonian. And this could spin off into a Supergirl series, maybe. And sure, we can find Crypto in the Fortress of Solitude in this one if you want some comedy. Like, so wait, there's a dog with superpowers?
There's also a cat with one, too.
Yeah, Supergirl had a cat. Maybe we should get some funny animal hijinks from that. And Aquaman obviously meets the future Tempest. And we're introducing the sidekicks because this series is gonna end with the Tower of Babel, which Ra's al Ghul and the Legion, yes, they're gonna be the villains again. And phase, am I on 5 or 6? I don't know. It phase 6 or whatever I'm on is gonna lead up to Titans Together, the formation of the Teen Titans. So Dick's not gonna be like 8 years old. He's probably gonna be like 11 or 12. Because honestly, that would be really. While we could get some funny jokes from an 8-year-old beating up grown men, are you just flexing that you have a crisis thing to me?
No, this. Continue.
Okay. You guys can't see this, but he was just showing a paperback of or something of one of the Crisis on Infinite Earths movies. Anyways, the big blow off for the phase after Tower of Babel, I would call Titans Together, and the Teen Titans would be formed. The team would be based off the new Teen Titans run, which was in like the 70s and 80s. So the team would be Dick, Wally, Donna, Roy, Starfire, Beast Boy, Cyborg, Raven, Garth. 9 people, and their first movie would be Teen Titans versus the Conqueror, which would be Starro. Hopefully, it's better than the Suicide Squad Starro. And we would still have movies with the Batman movie this year for this phase. Dick Grayson would still be in it, and this is why I'm having Dick be like a teenager to teenager. This is where we have Batgirl debut. I would not have tripping over my words here. I would not have Leslie Grace be Batgirl, even though her movie was filmed and ready for production or release. I would probably have someone else do it. I just don't know who yet. That's up for debate. But Dick would be in it, and this would sort of like put a weird Dick in a weird spot because he's got an orange supermodel waiting for him at Tennant's Tower, but he's also got the commissioner's little girl, which he's known since he was a child, and I probably should have mentioned. He and Barbara have been friends and like become friends over or like many galas and stuff. Like she's been a minor character. Batgirl's where she steps into the limelight. And yes, Killer Moth would be your villain, but he wouldn't sound like how he sounds in the Bat Year One comic. I would borrow from our superhero universe. You're not gonna see what I'm doing, but I'm gonna make him sound really stupid. He would sound like this and be a total dork. Eh. Anyways, this would be capped off with, like I said, and this would be capped off with a another Justice League movie since we have the Titans formed. It would be it's gonna sound weird, but it would be Ju- Justice League versus the Crime Syndicate. Like, where do we go after the Justice League's contingencies being exposed? What's worse than your self being your own weakness? Maybe an evil doppelganger? The first movie of Phase 7, which is going to be my final phase for now, will be Teen Titans Lazarus Contract. I'm almost done, dude. Chill out. And we might not have any time to talk after stuff. Anyways, you get the gist. Dick Grayson is missing for most of the movie, and that's because he's training Deathstroke's daughter. The Justice League, they have their wacky adventures. I would have 3 movies to end this. I would have the first one be Teen Titans Judas Contract. And then I would have a 2-part Crisis on Infinite Earths. And that's honestly where I would leave it in for the universe for now. If we ever wanna do this later, we could always do a part 2 to this. And I know
Yeah.
I went more in depth than Travis, but you know what? We each have our own styles. Anyways,
Yeah.
that's it for episode 142. Have anything else you want to say, Travis?
No. I think I'm good.
Alright, we're probably going to do this again once the DCU starts, aren't we?
Probably.
Alright, and with that, roll that
Roll it.
outro.